welcome to 5 Elements Living. We are back in the kitchen with my very good friend Paula Youmell. We've got some classes coming up this spring, 2017, and in particular this one is called, Creating Inner Wisdom.
It's all around your personal health. And the first class is on feeding your cellular health. The second class is natural food know-how, understanding what you're buying. And then the third class is on herbs and just simple body movements that you can do to ease digestive health and make yourself feel better.
Yeah, so we're setting up the class. We're setting up in 3 sections. Each one of them is on a Monday night from 6 to 8. And we're breaking it up because we want to make sure there's time for questions, and usually when it comes down to food, people do have a lot of questions. So we'll talk about the class as we're cooking. What are we cooking today?
Well, first, the classes are March 27th.
Oh, yes.
What are they?
March 27th,
April 3rd, and April 10th. Yes. So today what we're cooking is we're going for something very simple. This is a way to create a simple, easy meal for yourself or the family. And we're going to start out with some purple blue potatoes.
And these you got locally, right?
I got these and the onion from the Kent family growers in Lisbon, New York. And when I cut into them, I'll show you the beautiful blue-purple color inside them. And we're going to cook it in lard, and don't panic, don't freak.
This is part of the class.
Yeah, this is part of the class. Lard is actually something that's really good for you, and I'm just going to give you a little quickie. The cholesterol, and especially the saturated fat in it, we need for heart health and cellular health, and that'll be explained in the class. So we're going to cook up these potatoes and the onions in this beautiful cast iron pan.
Yeah, we preheated this just to get it going.
And we'll add.
And if you don't have a cast iron pan, ask your mother.
Yes, because your mother does.
Or grandmother.
There we go.
So the reason we chose Mondays, it's a good way to start your week. A lot of people, by the end of the week, they're either too tired, they have a lot of stuff going on. And we've kept it to 3 classes because it seems very doable. It will be set up like a classroom, but lots of time for people to ask questions, especially about their own personal health as well. And probably by the end of class, people will feel more like they can ask maybe some more personal questions about their wellness.
Right, specific questions about health challenges that they have. So you'll see the inside of these potatoes are beautiful, and there is so much nutrition in a purple potato like this as opposed to eating a regular white potato.
Very nutrient dense.
Very. And these are older heritage breed potatoes, which is another thing that we'll talk about in the class, the benefits of eating local, seasonal heritage. So we'll get the potatoes going here, and then we're just going to cut up the onion. The onion itself is also a purple red onion, which there's a
beautiful dish.
Oh, benefits to that as well. So we'll just cut that into slices.
So when we talk about our cellular health, we're talking at a core level as well. Like we're talking
basic biology.
Basic biology.
Yes, it's basic biology. If your body cells are not healthy, nothing in your body is healthy. And so it's getting right down to the cellular metabolism and what goes on inside your body cells and how you nourish it with your lifestyle medicine, the food that you eat and the way you live your daily life.
And we talk about when we doing as much natural and as local as possible, but we do often need food that's out of a can, like we had to use the, we're going to be putting in some beans. These you want to know how to read the labels on. And that's part of the class as well, right?
Yes, that'll be part.
How to read labels when you have to have something out of a can or a box.
That'll be the second class, the natural food know-how. The lard is from pasture-raised pigs. We'll also talk about that, the difference between factory-farmed animals and pasture-raised, naturally fed animals. This came from Grandma's Grass Acres in Brookdale.
What's the difference between this and Crisco?
Crisco is a vegetable oil, and we've been led to believe that vegetable oils are healthier, but they're not. We'll talk about that in the class as well. And then the Crisco, what they do to make that vegetable oil into a solid substance is very unhealthy for your body overall, whereas anything that comes from an animal is naturally hydrogenated and saturated and solid.
And
much
this
better.
Looks like even like a coconut oil does the same thing. It solidifies, but that didn't take long at all. Once it got to the heat, it melted beautifully.
It melts, and it does a great job cooking lots of things. So we'll just let the potatoes cook here for a few minutes, And then I'm just going to talk about ways to work with it. Once you get your food cooked, we'll flip the potatoes and the onions over here.
They're still maintaining their color, too.
Oh, they're beautiful. They're so beautiful when they're done and you eat them. Once you get them cooked, you can serve the potatoes and the onions just as is with another dish, whatever you want for protein, be it red meat, chicken, pork. I don't like to differentiate, but just meat. Another thing that I'll do is I'll take chickpeas. I didn't grow them in the garden. I didn't source them from a local farmer. I didn't even cook them. They're eaten organic.
And they're ready to go out of the can.
They're ready to go out of the can, and we all need those quickie things that help us just put the meal together when we get home from work. But I'll put chickpeas on top of the potatoes and the onions, and then I'll sprinkle some sort of cheese. And feta cheese and chickpeas are fabulous. And you could throw in some sun-dried tomatoes if you wanted to give it a little perky sweetness to it.
Crushed garlic.
Oh, absolutely. Crushed garlic is wonderful.
I'm thinking back to when we do, like, right now being winter, we usually use more immune powerful herbs,
Absolutely.
which onions are.
Onions, yes, they're full of selenium, they're full of sulfur, all kinds of good things, and you'll learn about that in the third class, the herbs for cellular health. The other thing that I like to do is I'll just crack an egg on top of it, and that's what we'll do today.
And we're still getting fresh eggs. We've
Yes.
got a friend, we're still getting them, so
Yeah,
it's even though it's February.
Yes, if you take care of your chickens, they will still lay. Sometimes less, but they will still lay. So we'll crack an egg on top of this, and then we're gonna slice a little bit of cheese on top. You just let it finish cooking, let the egg cook, let the cheese melt, and voila, dinner.
Easy.
Easy, and it happens fast when you have hungry kids that you need to feed.
Now, how would you store these potatoes if you didn't just run out and grab them? You had them in your, would you put them in, you don't put them in your fridge?
No, you don't store potatoes in the fridge. They're not a cold storage item, but you want them in, my mom always stored them in the root cellar, and they were in a bin. I don't have a root cellar because there's a furnace in my cellar, but what I do with them is I have a drawer in the kitchen. My house is relatively cool, so the kitchen's usually about 60, 62 degrees, and there's a drawer in the kitchen that I put the potatoes in. I only get enough for 2 weeks at a time because I have a winter CSA with the Kent family growers.
nice.
So I just have to store 2 weeks of my root vegetables at a time. So I tuck them in that drawer, and they're always good for those 2 weeks. This time of year, like when you get moving into the end of February, March, and April, they start to sprout on you. No matter where they are stored, no matter where they will start to sprout.
How do you know when you're not supposed to eat them? Like when you open up and they've got a little bit of sprout, I've often picked them off and still use them.
Absolutely, pick
You
the
can.
sprout off and use them.
Okay.
The potato just knows it's spring. It knows it needs to be in the earth and start growing. So they're fine, just pick the sprouts off. The only time I would say not to eat potatoes is like when you cut into a white potato, if there's a lot of green in it, don't eat it.
It's gone too far.
Yeah, and it's just not in a good eating state. So let's crack an egg in here.
Oh, nice.
And the yolks on these eggs, because they are naturally fed and pasture-raised eggs, the yolks are beautiful, deep yellow orange. They're not the pale, almost non-existent yellow of grocery store eggs. They're beautiful.
And it's so gray out now and so dismal. I mean, it's raining today, but the snow and the grayness, it's really, this
And
is
now
so
we have
pretty.
red onions and purple potatoes and beautiful orange eggs.
Yeah.
This cheddar here is from Camden, New York, I believe. And it's just a,
It's goat's milk. in it,
yep, it's a
too.
raw goat's milk cheddar. So I just slice it really thin so it melts easily.
My favorite thing about how you cook is a lot of people think, oh, it's too much time. There's products I don't understand. Most people have potatoes, onions, eggs, cheese. Easy.
It's easy. Easy, and it's
Not everybody would maybe have these beans, but
you got eggs.
you got eggs. So
And it's very cell-nourishing food. There's a lot of phytonutrients and all kinds of things that we really don't even need to know about. We just need to know that we're eating good, whole foods.
and kids will eat this.
Kids will eat it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
little kids will eat, especially because it has the eggs.
The cheese.
I mean, the boys may look at it and go, oh, the potatoes are purple, but once they eat them,
Exactly. They taste like potatoes,
Yeah.
and they're delicious. So,
perfect.
and then when it finishes cooking, we have some gourmet peppercorns here that I like to just grind up. Hand ground is wonderful. The pepper's
smells
fresher.
My favorite is smelling.
Me too.
Oh
Doesn't
my
that Smell
gosh.
delicious.
She didn't want to use my electric grinder. She wanted to
Hand grind.
Hand
I
grind
love doing
herself.
hand grinding.
Yes.
And you could put all kinds, like if you wanted to put curry spices on it, sprinkle curry spices, Italian spices. I always take my Italian spices like thyme, rosemary, basil, oregano, and I put them in my hands and I rub them, because you rub them and break those herbs up and it releases the essential oils, right. So that just spices it up. You know, you could make this every night of the week and just put different spices on it. Make it Mexican one night, Italian another night, curry another night, and it's essentially the same thing, but it's a little bit different taste.
Yeah.
And then at the table, we've got some Himalayan pink sea salt. Another thing we'll talk about in the class, the difference between table salt, like, I don't want to use any brand names, but the difference between plain white table salt and a good unrefined sea salt. Yeah. We'll talk about those things as well.
And yeah, I want to know in the class, we won't go into it here, the difference between the black pepper, the pink Himalayan salt. They have, I mean, you can buy the different colored ones as well, that different taste. But in the class, I wanted to go over what the difference is in terms of not only the nutrient value, but the taste.
And what to pair it with. Your cellular health.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
But it's also, you don't want to pair a certain pepper with a flavor and have
it's
it
too
not
strong.
taste. It's too strong.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, because when you grind, the chunks are more, you don't need as much. When you shake, it's like almost like a powdery dust, but these are good and chunky.
It's a powdery dust, and it's also because it's been ground for a while. It's lost its essential oils, it's lost its flavor. So when you fresh grind, you're getting the full strength of those peppercorns.
Yeah, very much so.
And voila.
Yeah, it looks great. Want to serve it up here?
Sure. Let me just turn the burner off here.
Still looks pretty. I haven't had lard in years.
Oh, I have cooked with lard for
Actually, that's
years.
not true. You probably made me something and I didn't even know it was in it. So.
Absolutely. I have cooked with lard for years. You want me to tell you why?
Yeah.
Oh, besides things that we'll talk about in class. Sure. I started thinking about it with common sense. My grandparents all grew up on self-sustaining farms, and they lived on lard.
And what they had.
Everything was cooked in lard, and my grandparents lived all of them until they were almost 90. No health problems. Right. So, I don't know, I don't think lard's a problem.
Right, right. It just has a stigma. It just has a stigma.
Yes, and we can discuss that stigma in class.
Yeah, this is beautiful. So more information on 5elementsliving.com under the events. You can register right online. Register for all 3 classes. If you have any questions, you can send them through me or even on your site as well.
Absolutely. Feel free to email.
So, yeah. So cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.